Did they? Oh, you guys are that's it?
So you can record them.
Okay, so we're here. We're recording this? That scares me. Okay, not a joke. Alright, so what is this?
Brainstem.
Brainstem. Brainstem does not include lateral ventricles. Okay? Brainstem is from midbrain, pons, and the medulla oblongata. I don't know if you explained that because I had to look that up when I was the first time. Alright, so that's the brainstem. The brainstem connects us to the brain. Alright? It connects us to the big brain and little brain. Remember, big brain is cerebrum, little brain is cerebellum. How many blood supplies for both? Three. What are the two blood supplies to the brain? Vertebral and internal carotid. Awesome. Okay, so what sits on top of here for blood supplies? Nope. Are we on the spine or are we in the brain stem? This is the spine down here that connects to the brain stem. This is what? Basilar artery, because this is the pons. The basilar artery sits on top of here. Is this anterior or posterior? This is anterior. You'll always be confident from now on that this is anterior because anteriorly, the pons are my breast of the brainstem. Okay? If the breasts are in the back, that'd be messed up, right? So these are the breasts. I guess, but scrotum's still in the front, right? Just think of it as the breast, because then when you draw it too, it's the breast, okay? The pons are the breast of the brainstem, always anteriorly. So it sits like this in my head. Sweet? All right, so now if we're looking, what should I do? Let's do cranial nerves first, okay? So these are my lateral ventricles just to orient you. You'll never see, first of all, you'll never see this as a tag model, like down here for your practical. We'll have the real brainstem models. This is for us to understand. Before I go way deep in this, I'm gonna give you terms that you've never heard of in your life, unless you've done neuro, and you haven't learned upstairs yet, but just bear with me and I'll make it as simple as possible. And I'm not gonna tell you everything. I'm gonna tell you what you need to know so far, like with what we're doing. So lateral ventricles. Underneath that we find, well, above that would be cranial nerve 1. What's cranial nerve 1? Olfactory. Olfactory, the tip of the olfactory nerve is called what? Bulb. The rest of it's called? Tract. Anatomically, that's how we call it. We don't call it olfactory nerve. What is this called right here? Optic chiasm, but it's before the optic chiasm, so it's optic nerve. Okay? This is the optic nerve, which goes to the what? Optic chiasm, which goes to what? Optic tract. Awesome. Okay, so that's cranial nerve 2. A trick with all these cranial nerves, these little lines are all cranial nerves on my brainstem, okay? A trick with all of these is that anything that divides into 12, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, right? All of those divide into 12, including 12, are midline. Okay, the reason I care about midline versus lateral is because let's say a tumor is compressing right midline of the pons. Is cranial nerve 5 going to be affected? No, right? 6 will probably get affected if there's a tumor because it's midline. Makes sense. Cool? So just to start thinking about it so you can visually also see it before people can say it later. Cranial nerve 2 is optic midline, right there. 3, right there. Oculomotor, right? And it's midline because it divides into 12. 4 is to the side of that. Does 4 divide into 12? Does that look like midline to you? No, right? So this is a trick one. If I turn 4 over, it actually is midline. It starts midline. It's the only cranial nerve that's posterior. That starts posterior and travels all the way anterior to connect to the eye. Because the eyes are anterior. 4 is trochlear, goes to the eye. Okay? Sweet. We'll talk about specifically what later. But 3 and 4. What are these things right here? Does anyone know that is connecting? The peduncles. Perfect. So these are my cerebral peduncles. Cerebral peduncles. What a peduncle means is it's a connection. A peduncle is connecting my brain stem to big brain or little brain. So we have cerebral peduncles, only one. Okay, one on each side. And then you have cerebellar peduncles, 3. Okay? So these are cerebral peduncles. What encephalon is that I'm looking at? Of embryo. Mes. Because this is what? Technically. Above the pons, but what makes it what? Midbrain. Perfect. Don't forget our main terms. Midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata.
So is the peduncle part of the midbrain?
Peduncles are part of the midbrain. Make sense? So when we see slices, like you'll see this in test 3, you're going to see a sliced midbrain. In the front, like that's the peduncle. Those are the peduncle portions. And the reason, I'm not going to talk about tracts running, okay? So cerebral peduncles. Then we have the pons, okay? Pons are the breasts. And of the pons, we look to the side for cranial nerve what? 5, right? Remember I told you cranial nerve 5 runs like It's huge and it's lateral. It's not medial because it doesn't divide in 12. Number 6 now is right here. What's 6? Abducens, okay? Also going to the eye. This is at what junction? Pontomedullary junction. Remember I keep saying pontomedullary junction. Think of 3 cranial nerves there. Because these are all technically part of the pons, but they're at that junction. So you have the pontomedullary junction, 6, 7, and 8. What is cranial nerve 7? Facial. What is cranial nerve 8? Vestibular-cochlear. Vestibular and cochlear nerve, they're 2 separate nerves that got put together to make one cranial nerve. That's how I think about it. A lot of the things that I say might not be accurate, but that's the way to think about it. So they are separate because one goes to the vestibular system, one goes to the cochlear system, but they're combined when we look at it, and that's why it's bigger than facial. Make sense? Sweet. All right, so we finished the pontomedullary junction, which was what in Cephalon? Met, right? Because the pons met the cerebellum there. Met encephalon. Now we're at the myelencephalon, which is what? Medulla oblongata. So all of this is medulla oblongata up to here. Okay? Then it becomes what?
Spinal cord.
Spinal cord. Excellent. So for the medulla oblongata, this is really tricky. Are we anterior or posterior? Anterior. Because of what? The breasts. That's excellent. So now, when they're anterior, anterior seems like better, right? You want to be in the front, not the back. Sorry for you in the back. But you're anterior, right? So anterior makes, like, we think better, and why I say it's better is because they're words I know. Okay, this is the pyramid. These both are pyramids. You've heard of the word pyramid, right? It doesn't matter if it's for neuro, but you've heard of it. And on the sides, we have olives. You've heard of an olive. Olive in a pyramid. So they're words we know. When we go to the posterior side, these words on the medulla oblongata are going to be fasciculus grossus, fasciculus cuneatus, tuberculums. Like, they're things you've never heard of. So that's why I think anterior, whenever you're thinking anterior, words we know. Pyramid and olive. That's it. If it's, there's 4 lines. Everyone sees 4?
Yeah.
4 lines like this. The middle 2 are pyramids. The outer 2 are olives. Pyramid, pyramid, olive. Pyramids have a decussation in the middle. Okay? A decussation means fibers are crossing. And that's why everyone says your right side of the brain controls the left side of your body. Because all the stuff from up here, from here, travel. All of this is from the right side of the right hemisphere. But once we cross into here, now it's on the left side of the body. Make sense? That's why there's a decussation there. So we have pyramids, we have the decussation. Olives don't have motor fibers in it. Olives are because there's an inferior olivary nucleus in there. Okay, inferior olivary nucleus we'll talk about later. That's for obviously in the medulla oblongata, and that deals with our auditory pathway. Okay, completely separate. So that covers that. Okay, so we're on cranial nerves. I'm sorry. So we did 6, 7, 8. Now cranial nerve 9, 10, and 11, 12 are in the last portion, right? Here's 9. What's 9? Glossopharyngeal. What's 10? Vagus. What's 11? Spinal accessory. This is spinal accessory. Okay, this massive thing, right? Why does it look like that? Does anyone know? Why does it look like I'm curving this up? It's coming up. Cervical branches that add to the spinal accessory nerve, right? So these nerves are all coming up through the what? Foramen. What foramen that you guys were just looking at in this school? Foramen magnum. Cranial nerve 11 comes up through it. Okay, in the book it will just list cranial nerve 11. So people think, oh, it's going down, right? It's not going down. Where does it go through? What foramen actually? The jugular foramen with 9 and 10. Does that make sense? Look how all 3 of these tips are coming together. 9, 10, 11, they're going to come together with the internal jugular vein and go out of the skull. Make sense? Sweet. So that covers cranial nerve 11, and then we have cranial nerve 12, which is up here. Okay, it's between the pyramid and the olive. Cranial nerve 12 goes through what hole? Or foramen? Hypoglossal canal. Well, now if we had a skull, is the hypoglossal canal lower or above the jugular foramen? Lower. And that's why it's cranial nerve 12. It's lower than the cranial nerve 11 when it exits. Because a lot of people are like, oh, shouldn't this be cranial nerve 12? No, it's coming out above cranial nerve 12, and that's why the hypoglossal is cranial nerve 12. Sweet. That's a lot for the anterior, but that covers everything on the anterior side except for up here. Okay, so we finished cranial nerves, right? We're good? Quickly say it. What? You can just say a number. 2, 3, 4 coming from the back. What's this? 6, right?
Yep. 7,
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Excellent. Okay, so next thing now is optic chiasm. We've talked about a million times, right? What do I say that sits behind the optic chiasm that can compress on it? Pituitary gland. So I'm going to stand for a second. I am the pituitary gland. What's connecting me to the midbrain, or to the brainstem? What's connecting me? Stalk. What stalk?
Hypophyseal stalk.
Yep, epiphyseal, whatever that's called. But infundibular stalk, right? That's what we call it down here. So I am the stalk right now. Pretend I'm the stalk. So pituitary gland's below me. If I take one step forward, what am I? Where am I? This is the infundibular stalk, I'll tell you that. So if I took a step forward, where am I? Optic chiasm, right? That makes sense. Because if I take a step back, where am I back into? Infundibular stalk, right? And below me is the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland compresses, it pushes on what's in front of me, and that's optic chiasm, right there. Now I go back to the infundibular stalk, and I take another step back. I took one more step back. Where am I now? Not pineal. Pineal's posterior. Mammillary glands. These mammillary glands. Everyone see mammillary glands? Okay? One step back from the infundibular stalk is the mammillary glands. One step forward, infundibular stalk. One step forward, optic chiasm. Okay? If I took an elevator up one floor, where am I then? One floor forward, up. Hypothalamus. Makes sense, right? Hypothalamus sits above all three of those structures. That's super important. If I took 2 elevators up, okay, so now I'm on the second floor, what floor am I now? The thalamus, right? The thalamus is above the hypothalamus. Makes sense. Easy enough to understand, right? Sweet. So we got that relationship done. We got all of the cranial nerves done. We did anterior versus posterior, and now we're going to go to the back. Posterior from the medulla oblongata, we talked a little bit about it. We don't like these words, so they're in the back. Make sense? We're going to do that last. We're going to start from the top, and at the top, what we have here is something that goes against everything I say, but I'm going to tell you a small mnemonic, okay? Because we've never learned these things before. We have 4 structures, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does anyone know what these 2 things are before I tell you?
Colliculus.
Colliculi. Okay, this is superior and inferior colliculus. Remember we looked at that in the body and he calls that the tectum, right? What travels behind my colliculi? Do you remember we were making a dent and it's going from 3rd ventricle to 4th ventricle?
So the aqueduct.
The aqueduct of Sylvius goes behind that tectum area, and that's what's here, right here. Okay? So try to think of that brain that's cut open, and when we go there, I'll show it to you. That's the aqueduct of Sylvius. So from lateral ventricle to 3rd ventricle is what? Interventricular foramen of Monroe, right? To get the 3rd ventricle around the thalamus, which would be this area here, and then through that aqueduct we get to 4th ventricle. 4th ventricle is this whole area between kind of like the pons and the cerebellum, right?
Yep.
Remember? And that area, if I break it open like it is here, is called the rhomboid fossa. Rhombus, right? Rhomboid fossa, right here. Okay? So this is where my acronym comes in handy. It's called SLIM. S-L-I-M. Okay? S meaning superior colliculus. I at the end, so S-L, I didn't tell you L. I meaning inferior colliculus. Got it? So, I'll tell you L right now. You see there's one thing here, there's a bump here, and there's a bump here. One is medial, one's lateral. That makes sense, right? Lateral geniculate body versus a medial geniculate body. I know you guys haven't heard of these terms before, but now we're going to talk about it. So, what is this again? I've done it again. What is that? What is this?
Optic tract.
Optic tract leads to what? Lateral geniculate body. Perfect. So, lateral geniculate body is the L with S. S-L-I-M. S and L are together, I and M are separate. So what does the lateral geniculate body have to go to? Superior colliculus, right? Because SL. So it goes through this pathway that you can't see on here, but it's called a brachium. Brachium means in Latin what? Arm. Okay, so it's the arm of that colliculus that connects the lateral geniculate body to the superior colliculus. So what does that mean? Lateral geniculate body and superior colliculus have to deal with what pathway? Vision. Sight, vision, whatever you want to think, okay? All of that is vision. So now I will tell you that I goes with M. So inferior colliculus goes with the medial geniculate body, and it connects by this brachium of the inferior colliculus. The brachium belongs to the colliculus. It's their arm that's attaching that geniculate body to it. Make sense? This has to do with auditory. Excellent. So there's vision and there's auditory. There's separate pathways, but they're all right here. Cool? So S-L-I-N. Done? Slim. Now this little structure here, it's not a very good representation because it's broken here, like it should be attached, right? They took it away. What is that that sits above my superior colliculus in the body? You learned in the brain. I don't know if you guys remember. The posterior commissure. Okay, posterior commissure. You guys remember there's an anterior and posterior commissure. Posterior commissure, you'll learn on Wednesday, deals with vision. It's the one reason, like, I touch this eye, it connects to the other eye, or like light shines here and this will dilate as well, aside from this eye. We'll learn about it, but that is the posterior commissure. Superior colliculus also is in the vision pathway, right? So it's easy for me to think both of those go together, vision. Now we're done with this tectum area. What is this called embryologically-wise? This area. Mesencephalon, because it's above my cerebellum, right? Yeah. Cerebellum, met the pons. So metencephalon, mesencephalon. This is midbrain. Tectum is a portion of your midbrain. All of this is midbrain. So we're done with midbrain. Notice cranial nerve 4 is there, between that on the posterior side. Now we're at the cerebellar peduncles, right? Peduncles are what? Connecting to big brain and little brain to the brainstem. Okay? So this will be a tag down here. One of these peduncles, okay? So there's 3 of them for the cerebellar. This is superior, this ridge right here, okay? This whole thing is superior. This is middle. Middle is the biggest. Middle cerebellar peduncle, and this is inferior, this little portion of here. Inferior peduncle, cerebellar peduncle. Sweet? Those are my connections. I'm going to talk about rhomboid fossa later, but the only thing I want you to know in rhomboid fossa, we have a lot of nuclei, okay? But the one thing I want you to know is the facial colliculus, okay? This is the facial colliculus. Okay, if you guys look, there's like there's 2 bumps, right? The middle bump is the facial colliculus, and this thing that divides kind of the rhomboid fossa in half, it's called the posterior median sulcus. Okay, this you realize like they took away half of it so you can see inside, right? Don't think that it looks like this. It's symmetrical. Okay, so if we're looking at this side, facial colliculus. Aside from that, everything is rhomboid fossa. Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you right now. So now we're done with the, what portion was this embryologically? Metencephalon, perfect. Now we're at what embryologically? Myelencephalon, awesome. And so we're in the posterior or anterior? Posterior, so we don't know these words, right? This is crazy. These words are absolutely nuts, but we're gonna learn it real quick. So everyone sees 4 lines, right?
Yeah.
Just like we did in the front. What were my middle lines?
Pyramids.
And what are my lateral lines?
Olives.
Olives, awesome. So these ones are completely different, and what we're gonna do is we make this little guy, or these 4 lines, into a man, okay? You see, he's walking, and he has arms, okay? The reason I say these is because the 2 in the middle are actually all of the sensory portions from the legs, okay? They come all the way up in the middle. The ones on the sides are my sensory portions from my arms. So upper limb versus lower limb. Easy enough to see that now, right? We have a little guy, he's walking, this is the back. It's in the posterior side of the brainstem. Now, what is the guy walking on? Not like this. If he's walking, what do we walk on? The ground. Okay, the ground, not floor. The ground. Ground meaning gracilis. These are gracilis in the middle. On the sides, I can touch, right, with my hands. So I'm touching cuneus stuff, right, like cutaneous. So it's cuneatus, okay? So we have gracilis in the middle with the ground. We have cuneatus on the sides. Sweet. Now all of these 4 things, they're called tracts, right? They're tracts. The term of a tract is a fasciculus. Fasciculi is plural. Fasciculus is singular. So each one. So if I'm on the lateral side, what is that called? Put it together. Fasciculus cuneatus. Make sense? Fasciculus is the tract, and then cuneatus is what it's called. Both sides are called the same thing. If it's in the middle, it's called fasciculus gracilis. Awesome, 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 awesome. Now I come to the front, or all the way to the top, right? These are sensory, meaning I have to sense it. I'm pinching him here. He has to sense it. They're coming up to a nucleus at the top. Okay, these are my nucleuses, or my knuckles. So my knuckles now are called tuberculums. When we're talking about a nucleus, where these neurons synapse at, that's up tuberculum. Excellent. So tuberculum, if it's on the side, it's what? Tuberculum on the side, cuneatus. On the middle, tuberculum gracilis. This, tuberculum gracilis. This, tuberculum cuneatus. Awesome, 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 awesome. And that's how we have sensory in the back. With the words, we have no idea what they are, but now we do because we have a little man walking the ground and touching things, so the cuneatus. And then we have in the front things we know, which is the pyramid and the olives. And the pyramids have what in the middle? Decussation. Decussation. Sweet. Were you going to say anterior spinal artery? Oh, I was going to say that's good. Anterior spinal artery sits on top of those pyramids, right? And what I didn't tell you is front is motor. I think I did tell you. Pyramids have motor that runs through it. The reason I can like try to punch anema is because the pyramids, right? And if it's right arm, it's coming from what side of my brain? Left, because it decussates there. Awesome. And if we're in the back, this is all sensory. So if Sam touched my knee, I feel that because it went up. Which portion? Which one? Which of the four? It went up to gracilis, the middle, fasciculus gracilis, and synapse at what? Tuberculum gracilis. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Sweet. That covers the whole brainstem. Yay. Good.